Hello everyone watching at home, you're with Adelaide Eternal, bringing you the final round, the finals of the Vintage Challenge. I'm Sarven McLinton. In the booth here with me is Drew Carter.
Hello.
So we have the final one. This is the battle for first place, basically, and it is between myself, Sarven McLinton on the left, and Socrates Stavropoulos on the right. Here's me with the profile thingamajig.
Your host, Dr. Sarven McLinton, won a few tournaments. Socrates, you were saying, is always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Socrates
is so close to getting one of these profiles because he's been so close to winning a number of events. He probably has the highest, along with me, the highest number of top 8s of all of these. You know, we'll have to go and count it out by the time that he inevitably eventually wins one of these. He's got a very high number in the teens or the 20s of top 8s, but unfortunately he's placed second at countless. He knows how many, I'm sure.
This could be the day where he turns it around. This could be the one,
yeah. So this is the big clincher. So hopefully he can pull out all the stops and get there.
And he'll be doing it with Paradoxical Mentor list. So he's got the Paradoxical Outcome, he's got Monastery Mentor, and he's got the main deck Blightsteel Colossus.
Nice.
So in round 4 we saw Michael with the Colossus in the board, but Soc's got it in the main deck. He's also got 3 Mystic Remora main deck, which is interesting. So what's the role of that?
So yeah, this is cool because I think Socrates' deck is like a versatile deck that can pivot different angles, whereas Michael Hearn's is a raw powerhouse that just wants to tendrils you. And so because Socrates has got that flexibility, having Mystic Remora in there allows him to sometimes just say, against control, just say, play Mystic Remora, pass a turn. And you sit there, and every time your opponent casts a spell, you're going to draw a card. So it kind of acts like an Ancestral Recall sometimes. But in reality, what happens is they don't cast spells. And when they're not casting spells, they're not deploying threats, which gives you time. And then at some point, you just opt to just go off. Like, go, okay, I've had the Mystic Remora out for 2 turns now. I've paid a little bit of mana for it on the way. Now I'm going to go off. And your opponent, every time they interact with you on the stack to try and stop one of your spells or to, Flusterstorm something or to Pyroblast a Preordain or something, that you're drawing cards. So you just keep drawing cards. It's really, really good. It's especially good in these kind of combo decks because it's a proactive way of defending yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of like Defense Grid, but instead of charging mana, you're charging cards.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah, it's interesting.
Nice.
Another interesting aspect is Soc's got a transformational sideboard with a big Oath package. So it'll be interesting to see if he uses that here.
Yeah.
Does he just use that to get the big dudes, or does it also power the outcome?
I think it's in 2 situations. One is transform against Shop's opponents, and then just immediately just play an Oath of Druids and essentially win the game. The alternative is against opponents that are going to sideboard against your Paradoxical plan. So you win game 1 with Paradoxical. They clearly know you're a Paradoxical outcome deck.
Okay.
You side out some of your clunkier cards from the Paradoxical side. You plan less to win with the Storm, and instead you bring in these cards that they're completely unprepared for. They didn't bring in their Containment Priests. They didn't bring in their Fragmentizers.
No, they brought in their Stony Silence or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Fragmentizer, probably a bad example.
And do you take your... We'll have to see. Do you take your Snapcaster Mage out, or do you leave it in? You probably take it
That's a good question. I didn't notice that. Yeah, the cheeky little Snapcaster Mage in there. Because I think oathing into Mentor is perfectly fine. Like, that's great, because then you just go off. Mentor is essentially like a one-man army. My deck is featured in round 2, so you'll see me back there. If you want to have a look at my list, you can scroll back to that one and watch that round.
It's a 4-color control list with Planeswalkers.
Yeah, something like that. That's a good summary. 4-color Planeswalker control, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go down to the match. Players have drawn their hands. I can't, honestly, because this has been a while, I can't actually remember what happens in the game. So I can't remember. I can't tell you whether or not we mulligan. But
Soc's drawing 7 at the moment.
Yeah, this looks like there's no mulligans involved.
There's your hand.
So that's my hand.
Lots of blue.
Single land, including.
No, you had Volcanic and Library.
Yeah, Library. He's got a Mystic Remora hand. So those are probably the key cards. And because he's on the play, this is very, very big. So let's assume that this is just a normal control versus combo matchup.
Do you know what he's on?
So we chatted about it before. We both know what each other is on, but not our specifics.
Okay.
So we chatted at the beginning, and I said, what are you on? And he said Storm, but I've got the Oath in the sideboard. I'm like, yeah, that's sweet. And I said I'm on Planeswalkers with Mentor, and I'm trying out Teferi. So both of us know like the majority of what we're on, but not as much as we normally do. Normally we test a lot together. We just were all very busy at the time before this tournament. So
I don't think Sock's got any Storm cards. He's got no Tendrils and no
so he's just all in on Voltaic Key, Time Vault as his win con.
And the Mentor.
The Mentor and Blightsteel. So here's my hand. So I could opt to Mental Misstep this, but
you can just sit back on library.
Yeah.
Let him pay for...
So it's risky, but yes.
You let him pay the upkeep and then eventually he just loses a card.
Yeah, that's it. So, it's very rare that you don't Mental Misstep Fish because it's so good against control. But here, when you've got the library, you've got the ability to not Mental Misstep it, and it actually says draw a card, right? Because you're not one card down.
Like, it's only good if you're forcing your opponent to play spells.
Yeah,
if you're
which
not,
he could like. I was terrified. I said this is the critical turn. On this turn, if he goes off, I can't do much. So, but now that I've got Volcanic Island out and I can threaten the Pyroblast, I've got the choice of deploying a Preordain here, and there's a couple of options, because I am on 8 cards, right?
You quite like discarding to hand size.
I do. I'm a fan of just going like, my hand is so good that I just discard, right?
You treat it like a duck fade and loot kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I just discarded the.
So why didn't you use that?
Because the Mystic Fish is out, Mystic Remora.
Ah, yes, okay.
Yeah. So this is just a draw card, and he lets the Mystic Remora go, and he knows that once I've got a library out, he knows that he's not going to win off the Mystic Remora, so he needs to just actually do other things. So he's now being proactive, casting a Ponder, sweet original foil Ponder, and now Misstep so much more valuable against the Ponder when he's let the Mystic Remora go. So this is a misstepping my misstep.
Oh, okay. Let's see what happens here. So he really wants that Ponder, like to dig for land or something?
He either wants it or he's trying to bait me out of getting out of the library. Because the problem is, when you don't validate your library card on a regular basis, what happens is you get dumber. You just don't have the ability to read as many books. So you need to be just smart enough. Like, you need to possess at least 7 books on your shelf in order to have a valid library card. Otherwise, at Alexandria, they don't take you seriously. They say, get out of here. You're not learned enough to join us and study.
So you didn't throw the book at Sock then, you kept it on your shelf?
That's it. Kept it on the shelf. I thought, keep them there. This is the hand. Dak Fade and Jason Mind Sculptor, Force of Will, Mental Misstep.
Do you have a Mind Break Trap as well?
Look,
I think I saw it.
If in doubt,
which is pretty good.
I always have Mind Break Trap.
Yeah, that's pretty good against Sock.
I've had so many Thug Life moments with Mind Break Trap that I can't not play that in my 75.
Yeah, because one's the right number.
One is the right number. Yeah, I basically have never wanted it one more than one. More than one.
Do you often play the 4 as well?
I can't name a time off the top of my head I've ever paid the 4.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's because Vintage is a weird format. Like, if you were playing Highlander and Mind Break Trap was in your 75, there are very many times you'll actually pay 4 for it, to exile a spell. But I can't name a time I have done that. Now, the Ponder did find an Ancestral Recall, so for Socrates. So I believe he has Ancestral Recall in hand, or the Ancestral Recall is floating on the top of his deck to protect it from, any kind of Thoughtseize or something like that. Not that I have that, but yeah. So deploying a Lotus,
that's a nice
get
bit
to
of
7
burst.
cards, and the reason that you activate the library main phase here rather than passing the turn and having Force of Will and an additional card in your hand is because I know I'm going to use the mana because I've got Lotus. Like, I know I'm gonna do something this turn. So, the Lotus changes everything.
So what are you thinking here? Are you happy to go long and just gain cards, or do you want to kind of put some pressure on?
I am going in on Jace because I got the Lotus. So this is going to say, well, you better use your Force of Will on this, otherwise I'm going to draw 3 cards a turn and have the best of those cards all the time. And this is going to be interesting to see, because I can't remember, whether or not Sock fights the battle over this. I can't
he might just ignore it and try to force through his own threats.
It's probably what I would do, because he needs to win somehow.
But it puts him off. He puts him off the Tinker plan. Well, you can't Blightsteel Colossus.
True, he can't win from Blightsteel. Very good point. So this is Force of Will pitching Paradoxical Outcome, and I'm going to Pyroblast back.
Yeah,
so you'll note
punished.
A lot of the time people leave their fetch land on the battlefield so that once the Jace resolves, they get to do things.
Okay, we've got some interaction here. Sock might have his Force resolve. Yep. No.
So this is
mental
mistake.
I hope he doesn't keep casting because you've got the Mind Break Trap as well.
Hey, look, it's it'll be a bad day. Yeah. I think Socrates has learnt so many times from mostly punishing YouTube videos of me mind break trapping people that playing a third spell a turn is bad against me. So here we have Brainstorm, and this is just although I went down off the 7 cards in order to resolve the Jace,
you can get back up. When you
resolve the Jace, you're going to be back on 7 next turn.
And Sock's looking a little depleted. He's only got the 2 cards now?
Yeah, 2 cards. But if the card is like Windfall or something...
You said he had Ancestral?
Yeah, Ancestral I believe is in there somewhere. So, but yeah, imagine if he had Windfall or a red source in the Wheel of Fortune and just gets a wheel, the wheel off the empty hand. Oh, it feels so good. But the play I was talking about before was a lot of the time people play, Lotus and they tap their land and they keep a fetch land available on the battlefield and they cast their Jace. What I did was I pre-Jace fetched, got the white source, and then left the Volcanic out because I don't want to have to use... Because I knew I was going to have to Pyroblast, so I didn't want to have to, fetch with my fetch land and end up with 2 Volcanic Islands.
Yeah, okay. You just were making sure you had the right colour.
Make sure I had the right colour rather than have the active fetch, because with active Jace and active Library, you're just going to dig deeper anyway. You don't have to worry about the fetch.
Yeah.
In that instance, obviously fetch and Brainstorm are always good. But when you're going to cast a Pyroblast...
Yeah, having the right colours is also good.
Yeah. The colours is good. Colours is important. So now that the fish is out, and note that Socrates did not play a land or a Mox, this is an opportunity to just let the fish stay around. So here we've got Painful Truths, Gush, Force of Will, Dak Faden, and Pyroblast amongst Mind Break Trap.
Yeah, so Sock wants to start jamming some threats, forcing you to interact, draw some spells off of
This is the turn to do it, and that's why he's going with the Preordained. Yeah. And the last thing I want to do is let him draw a card off this because he's so low in cards.
You can have the Preordained. Yeah, you don't want to turn the Preordained into like a good chart or like a draw spell rather than a cantrip.
Exactly. Like, let it be a cantrip. Sure, I don't want cantrips to resolve normally, but in this instance, I have to let them resolve. And again, the cantrip let him find a land, which allows him to pay for Mystic Remora again the next turn. So I'm not out of the woods. Because just imagine, he has the ability to pay for his Remora, but his last 2 cards in hand are Black Lotus, Wheel of Fortune. Then I have to counter it. He draws a card, and he could use that card in some other way to keep playing.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. It's not easy. It's not an easy situation. Socrates is in a not a great position, but outcome all 4 of my colours.
Is the ideal time to play Mystic Remora on, like, say, turn 3 or 4? Like, you don't need to play it straight away.
It's a very difficult decision, and I think it's really matchup dependent because sometimes, like against shops and you're on the play, you play it to play turn 1 and just say, okay, play some of your spheres, go ahead, and I'll just make this an Ancestral Recall. I don't mind.
I'm thinking in the context of this matchup. Yeah.
In this matchup, I think the only thing that punished Socrates is that he had a land or mana light hand.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the greediest play I've ever made, and I regret it instantly. But this is end of turn, Pyroblast your fish. And I'm like, what's going to go wrong? Because I want to untap and I want to play Dak Fade and I want to play like my threats out and just keep going. But look at how this goes wrong. So I'm Pyroblasting this and I allow him to draw a card. That's what I equated it to. Like, I'm going to let you draw 1 card. That's all that's going to happen. You're going to cycle your Mystic Remora, and then I'm going to go to my turn, and I'm going to be able to deploy Dak Faden, and Gush, and then Gush, loot away the lands that I gushed back with Dak Faden, and just go crazy.
You're already going crazy. You've got Jason Library.
I know. That's why I regret this play. Like, I was just like, I'm just going to finish this game. Let's go for it. And I just should have just waited the Mystic Remora out. Because then, if he did have a Wheel Lotus and then a backup Windfall type hand, I could, yes, counter these things, yes, let him draw a few cards, but probably make him get out of gas. But this is how it blows me out. He has Ancestral Recall.
And even if you counter back...
Why do I want to fight over it? If I fight over it, then I've let him draw an additional card. And this is really Mystic Remora at its best,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I regret this play, but now that... This is the thing, now that you've made this, it's a sunk cost.
You were playing you were the combo deck where you wanted to get rid of the
get rid of the thing
piece
that
or
stops
something.
me, like the Hercule's Recall on their spheres,
Exactly.
go off on my turn. And look, going off, all the going off was Dack Fade and Gush and loot away, lands and have 2 Planeswalkers.
It wasn't like Mentor.
It's not like Mentor. So if Mentor was in my hand, I like that play.
No, but you've still got the... But you're still drawing the card.
Yeah, and this is actually... I correct myself and I'm like, actually, no, that Force of Will was the previous turn. This is actually only 2 spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're thinking, oh, no, I can't do this.
I can't do this, yeah. I'm like, sorry, this is... And so I showed him that he's got... that I've got Mindbreak Trap. So a Mindbreak Trap in the hand is worth 2 in the... No, a known Mindbreak Trap is pretty terrible.
And I've also got Stifle and Daze.
Yeah. Yeah. Here are all the things that you can play around. So... a mental misstep there, essentially. And so now here, he's drawing all these cards, and Pyroblast is still on the stack. So he can easily draw a mental misstep to misstep the Pyroblast, which, again, I don't want to fight over. And, so it was a...
You got rid of it.
I got rid of it, but I was not happy.
No.
Because just imagine being able to actually Pyroblast his Ancestral Recall after the Mystic Fish dies. So yeah, it was not my most stellar play there.
So Sox, he's gone from 2 cards to 6 cards.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly. So now it's I go, okay, look, I've made an error. It's a sunk cost. I'm just going to have to play the game now. This is now the game.
Just forget that. Yeah.
Forget that happened.
Yeah.
And
don't try and make up for it.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're going to make some really, really, dig yourself into a really deep hole. So now I have to go, look, I'm going to have to make sure I take advantage of this turn. And if this turn is denying you your next turn, holding open a Pyroblast, holding open, some counter spells and fate sealing you, that kind of a turn, so be it. But if it's a turn where I get to deploy Dack Fade and just try and get ahead, so take his Mox, just
that'd be good.
Get further ahead, then maybe that's what I need to do. So either way, whichever plan I'm going for, I'm leading with Cruise. I need to know what's up based on the top cards in my deck. So let's Cruise and then Brainstorm after that if I need a Brainstorm, or Fate Seal if I decide that this is a Fate Seal territory, which is probably not. So I get to draw an additional Force of Will, and this changes things a lot. And
Sapphire and Brainstorm.
Sapphire, Brainstorm in there, nice. Now I get to Brainstorm and put away anything I don't need. Sapphire is almost always going to be used, so play it because I'm going to use it, but there's always an option to discard that to Dack. So I'm just going to Brainstorm here to just get more information. Information on whether or not I want this Sapphire. Does the Sapphire go back?
I think Stone Raining the Jet, and in terms of stealing it from Dack, is fairly valuable against an outcome deck.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're hurting his mana and the power of his outcome.
A potential card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you got a lot of cards there. That's good.
Yeah, it is. I feel like every game with me on camera is me with a hand of 7 cards, drawing 3 cards a turn.
Well, that's the aim of your deck. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Painful truths.
You got 2 Pyroblast main deck.
Yeah,
it's very impressive.
So it's interesting because control decks have 4 Force of Will, 3 Mental Misstep, 1 Flusterstorm, usually, depending on what you choose. Then they usually have 3 flex slots, and those flex slots are either additional 4th Mental Misstep, additional Pyroblast, additional Flusterstorm, or a Mindbreak Trap. Those are usually those kind of slots that you fit in there, or a Mana Drain. And I don't play Mana Drain because Mana Drain is not very good nowadays. It was really good in the past, but nowadays it's just really outdated tech. It's not very interesting. It's 2 mana. It's really bad in the shops matchup, so may as well play, 13 things that are bad in the shops matchup anyway, but wreck your blue opponents like Pyroblast. So
there you go. You've taken the Mox Jet.
yeah, so Mox Jet getting stolen by Dak Faden, the greatest thief in the multiverse. The second best thief in the multiverse in my sideboard, Notion Thief. So I'm on 7 cards.
He's pretty good against outcome too. Notion Thief.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Notion Thief. So I've got 2 of the Super Friends out, Dak Faden and Jason Mind Sculptor. I drew a card in the upkeep off the Library of Alexandria, and now is probably, if there was ever a turn for Socrates to go off, it's this turn.
Yeah,
because once he
tapped
passes
out.
back, it's just, it's like game over, right? Like, I have all the mana at
So
my
you've
disposal.
got 2 forces in hand.
2 forces, lots of blue cards to pitch to them, 8 cards in hand, and
You may have dig through time as well. But, you're a fair way off that in terms of delve at least.
hardcast digs are real. When you steal their Mox, you play a Mox, and you have 5 lands. You can just hardcast.
Have you ever thought about Mind Twist in this list?
Yeah, Mind Twist is so funny, isn't it? Mind Twist in Vintage has this strange position where it's like, it's just so powerful, and it could get you a 7 for 1, but it just gets, Force of Willed, and you go, oh, okay, yeah. So then you you defend it with your Force of Will, and then neither of you have cards in hand. It's just, Mind Twist is really weird. I'd love it to be good, be fantastic if it was good, but it's just weird. And then it's really bad against all the other matchups, shops and so on.
Dredge.
Yeah, Dredge. Oh man, just imagine Mind Twisting a Dredge opponent. They're like, sure, discard my hand, go to my turn, dredge this.
Oh, yeah.
So. Yep. So
okay, Sock's he's got a lot of mana. That helps.
I think here I said I'm so glad I gained control of that jet.
Yeah.
Because just imagine how much mana he'd have at his disposal then.
Because he's effectively stolen 2 mana and he's just shit the turn.
It's actually effectively stolen 3 mana because it turned off.
Oh, it turns off the opal.
Yeah. So gaining control of the jet was the right play. So here's just an end of turn fetch. So there was some chaff on top of the deck. I can't remember what the chaff was, but it's gone. And hand is just mono gas, right? 8 cards of gas, and it's going to be even more cards of gas with the all of these other planeswalkers ready to just keep finding the best possible cards. Yeah.
When you say gas, you really just mean counter spells and draw spells.
Yep, happy with that.
Okay.
Who cares about winning the game when you can just dirtle?
Yeah.
I'm fine with dirtling this out until, the 40-minute mark, and then finally fate sealing your
And when you
opponent.
mean dirtling, you mean counter everything Sock does until he's got no cards in hand, then start fate stealing.
Yeah, that's it. Make sure that they're just essentially locked out, and you just remind your opponent that they can concede at any time and save time. But when you're this far ahead, there's no incentive to necessarily close the game swiftly. As long as your operations are in a timely manner, you don't necessarily need to jam. You don't need to jam things. You can just hold up counters. So speaking of jamming, here's Teferi, 5 mana.
Well, the sweet thing about Teferi is that, you will still give him his turn with 4 mana untapped, because unless you go for double library activation. Because he only effectively costs 3 mana at this point in the game.
Exactly. And here we're actually seeing the thing that we discussed, I think it was in round 2, about Teferi, where one of the selling points to Teferi is the fact that, it's not named Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah, okay.
So in my deck, I can often have Teferi and Jace out, and you just lock up the game then. It's just so...
That's win-all, though. You're already winning with Jace out.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think sometimes you might be borderline and then Teferi will make the difference?
Yeah, that's it. Your opponent has a Jace too, and then you have a Jace and a Teferi, and then your Teferi tucks their Jace away.
So we've got a Snapcaster here. He's looking for some kind of counter magic.
So he has access to an additional... Oh, he has no other mana. Yeah. So here, there was merit to... I can't remember whether I was on 6 cards or I forgot to activate the library. I can't remember. We'll find out soon enough. I think...
So why are you fighting over the Snapcaster?
That's a really good question. I can't remember. He's got A-Call in the bin. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's Snapcaster represents 4 pseudo cards. So...
Flusterstorm's good for Sock.
Yeah, Flusterstorm's really good here. I can't just, I don't have Pyroblast mana up, but I can't just, easily, snap that one off.
Yeah, you've already used your Mindbreak Trap. Oh, no, do you still have it?
I haven't used Mindbreak Trap. Mindbreak Trap is...
You've just shown it.
Yeah. However, remember how I brainstormed a couple of turns ago? I just put mind break trap
because he'd seen it.
Yeah, now that my opponent's seen it, I assume my opponent's going to play around mind break trap for the rest of the game.
You would have liked it then, though, potentially.
Yeah, it could have been, but he's only on 2 spells.
Okay.
So, but yeah, you could say mind break trap, exile the Ancestral Recall that he plays.
Yeah.
But then you've got a Snapcaster Mage in play that's just attacking your Planeswalkers, which is just annoying.
Yeah.
It's really because you can't bounce it with Jace, and you don't want to tuck it with the
Yeah. Okay. He's good against
Teferi.
Yeah, the Snappy's very good. Any into the battlefield with those abilities.
Exactly. So, that's right. Now I remember why I didn't activate the library then. It's because I wanted to make sure that library is kind of like the last thing I do in the turn, because I still have the Gush as my safety valve.
Okay.
So the Gush is there. It's just waiting. Like anytime I need to, I can get back into the library when I need to. And
Gush with Dak is just...
Gush with Dak is really sweet.
Fantastic, yeah.
So note here that I Teferi minused and I tucked his Mox Opal second from... Is it second from the top? I think it is. Yeah.
It's the second or third, I think.
Yeah, third from the top. And then Jace Fate Seal the top of his deck. So now he's quite likely to draw into the dead card, and I fragmentize his Mox Sapphire.
Okay. I was wondering why you didn't send back the Sapphire, but that's why.
Yeah, I want to destroy the best one and then leave the worst one in his deck on top there. And his library Academy now taps for 0. And he's so much further back on mana, I'm not afraid of him doing something nasty. At the end of my turn, I untap 2 lands, which puts me back on Pyroblast mana again. So here's Dig Through Time. Big spell here.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, really huge.
Because it gets rid of the bad draw as well on top.
Yep. I lamented it afterwards. I was like, I Fate Sealed you. I said, I felt so clever that I Teferi'd and then Fate Sealed and made the top of your deck really bad.
Just draw the cards up.
Yeah. And then he just Dig Through Times, gets rid of the cards and on top. And I'm like, I'm just going to Dig Through Time in response to your Dig Through Time. So yeah, I think you saw Dig Through Time earlier, and yes, you're 100% correct. It was Dig Through Time. I leave Fragmentize and Pyroblast in the graveyard because they're basically the biggest haymakers, the most flexible cards. They can kill a Jace, they can destroy a defense grid type effect. This is still game 1, but they can destroy something that you just can't otherwise answer. They also destroy Time Vault. So I'm digging in response so I could find, something to counter his dig. And I could also let the dig resolve because I'm not actually as scared of it, and you can counter the 2 things, but usually you're just going to counter the dig.
This is his main phase, isn't it?
Main phase. Yeah. And he hasn't played a land for the turn, but his Academy is essentially his tapped out. The Academy being 0 is just, for all intents and purposes, a tapped out.
And you've just got the 1 Snapcaster Mage, is that right?
I got 2 Snapcasters and 2 Jace Prince Prodigies. A lot of these decks run 3 Snapcaster, 1 JVP, or 4 Snapcaster even.
I think that's too many.
Yeah, I
it
really like JVP.
Some setup for the Snappy.
Well, I think JVP is fantastic in a shops meta, and we were expecting a lot of shops because a lot of people like that deck. This is in response still to the dig, Gush, and now I'm on library. Nice. So back into the library. I believe my hand now has 8 cards, and this is time where you can force of will the dig, and you still end up having cards for library in my turn and in your opponent's turn. And surprise, I just let dig resolve.
Yeah,
because it's not that scary.
You're kind of running out of counter spells, and you just want to keep them for really scary things.
Yeah, and
Tinker. Oh, not Tinker, but something.
How Dig Through Time is 2 cards and you have to counter 2 cards rather than 1? If your opponent... That's only relevant if your opponent is on 5 mana. When your opponent's on 2 mana...
You can only do 1 mana.
They can only do 1.
Yeah, exactly. One card a spell in it. So, 1 spell a turn anyway.
And in every turn cycle, I'm actually drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards a turn because Teferi lets me draw twice off library. And so 5 cards a turn and looting with Dak means I'm always going to have counters. So... letting that dig resolve and then being able to set up basically to absolutely lock the game down from there on is probably a fine cost to pay.
And this is still game 1, isn't it?
Yep, game
Okay.
1. So life totals, as you can tell, are entirely irrelevant when you're playing. Your control mirror, and in this case, Sock is essentially playing a pseudo control deck with the combo finish in it, because he's not really a combo deck per se. He's got Mentor, he's got Paradoxical as a way to just draw cards. Then you're fine with going, okay, I'm just gonna make a 40-minute game 1.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be that long, but just FYI for those playing at home, there's really no rush to finish the game.
If you're
as long as you lock it up.
So in a control mirror, game 1, if you're winning, just keep on continuing to win.
Continuing to win, stay ahead, and your opponent can concede at any time. So here is Dak pitching 2 lands, 2 Flooded Strands, get them out of here.
Should Sock concede here?
I 100% would concede.
Yeah.
I think I would have conceded the moment Teferi landed.
Yeah.
Like, he had dig through time, and
there you go.
Yeah, he conceded.
So you've shown the hand.
Yeah, I just said
you had Time Walk as well.
Yeah, I just I said I can play this out and I can go and just make this game 1 go forever, but let's go to game 2 so we've got enough time for a decisive victory, because I just revealed my hand. I said Mentor, Time Walk. I'm going to play all these things. I'm going to Time Walk.
Okay, we had Mentor.
Yeah.
So you
or maybe it wasn't
him.
even Mentor. I think I just said, like, I've got Time Walk. I'm just going to take all these turns, and I've got 3 Planeswalkers active. Like, would you like to concede?
Yeah.
So like if I think if Socrates was the fictitious stranger, you're playing against someone you don't know in an unknown environment, and you are playing for the finals, and you're playing for the big ticks on the line, that kind of thing.
You don't show your hand like that.
You don't show your hand. Just play it out. You go for 40 minutes. Your opponent will concede eventually, or they'll play it out and you just win.
But the risk is he's on a kind of combo deck. Let's say you do take that time to win, and then he gets a good quick win in game 2. Then as a control deck, you're at a disadvantage to win game 3.
Yes, that's true. So that's one big risk, which is, you use up 40 minutes, then you play game 2, they combo off, you are now 1-1, and you just can't win.
Yeah.
You just end up being a draw.
But they can.
Because
they
have the ability to win. So, yeah, it's an interesting situation. I'd be interested to see what people's comments are below. Tell us what you would do in a situation where your opponent's on a combo deck, you're on a control deck, and you have the game locked up. Do you wait for them to concede? Or do you, just demonstrate that you have the ability to win in 20 minutes, the first 20 minutes, and then keep going?
I think your approach to just methodically winning is best in a control mirror, yeah.
Mirror,
but this is
combo.
This isn't that, yeah, really.
So post-sideboard, Socrates has the cool transformative sideboard.
Will he use that against? I think he will use that, because you wouldn't expect it, would you?
Yeah, well, we discussed it.
Okay.
So we don't know each other's lists, but we discussed what we were vaguely on at the beginning of the tournament.
Memory's Journey, what's that?
So Memory's Journey is a way to stop yourself getting milled when you're triggering Oath of Druids. It's a bad card, but sometimes in some Oath builds, a necessary card. There's also situations in this combo deck where Memory's Journey is really, really relevant for putting specific cards back in your deck. So let's say that Socrates, his only way is to win is to take infinite turns and then attack with a Snapcaster Mage or something. And he has no threats in his deck, and he has no Time Vault because it was destroyed. So he can Memory's Journey and put Time Vault and Snapcaster Mage, Time Vault and Monastery Mentor, like something, put the actual cards back in his deck, and then resolve his Demonic Tutor to find them. So that being said, it's not a good card. So,
all right. Well, I'll just have a look at your sideboard, Sarven, and have a guess of what you might bring in. Let's have a look here. So you've got Stony Silence, very good against the outcome kind of package. Notion Thief, as we explained, was really going to get him. Any card drawing spells. Pyroblast, strengthen that suite again. That's probably sufficient. You could think about Containment Priest if you're worried about Tinker, and certainly if you've kind of gotten whiff of the Oath possibility, Containment Priest would be sweet as well, although you don't want to over sideboard. So it'll be interesting to see what you do. I'm guessing you maybe just bring one Containment Priest. Do you remember if you're bringing Containment Priest at all?
I definitely bring them in.
Yeah.
So I think, did I show them on camera? I can't remember whether or not I showed the cards. Yeah, I think I showed the cards, but
because you know he's got an Oath sideboard.
Yeah, and in reality, it's really funny, but in reality, I often bring Containment Priest in fair matchups anyway. Like you just there's these times where you just want to Snapcaster Mage, and I put against control decks. You take out some of your dirtily cards, things that try and take a good example. So let's say that your opponent's on a Tesserator control or a control that has Tinker in it, and you take out all your Swords to Plowshares, and you just bring in like one Containment Priest. And sometimes they just tinker and you just put out Containment Priest. And then other times when they don't have it, you just end of turn flash in this 2/2 and just attack with a 2/2, and they are loath to remove it because post board they don't have any removal spells aside from Pyroblasts. Pyroblasts don't kill it, and you just end up dealing 18 damage with a Containment Priest whilst just controlling the game.
Do you think? Have you experimented with the main deck?
I actually... Oh, here we go. So here's Oath of Druids and another Oath of Druids, 2 Oath of Druids, and I didn't see the rest on blue cards. So I've got Strip, Pearl, Pyroblast, Containment Priest, Ponder...
You mull.
Mull.
Didn't have any blue mana.
No blue mana. It's off. So yeah, you can see the Containment Priest is there. It would be funny if I had Mox Pearl and Mox Jet, no blue mana, just play them pass a turn, and then he plays Oath of Druids, Forbidden Orchard, and then I play Containment Priest. I'm like, oh, gotcha. But yeah, there is no way that I'm going to keep that hand. When you're in Vintage, you get to scry. You essentially a mull to 6 and a scry, and you're on the draw. The chances of you drawing more busted hands than that terrible hand are so much higher.
Yeah. So do you ever mull average hands or only bad hands?
Depends on the matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, so against shops I never keep an average hand. I always mull. Yeah. Against control I keep average hands.
Yeah.
So here we go. Yeah, so it's a Mox land. So Fragmentize, Flusterstorm, Mental Misstep, Painful Truths, Tundra, and Preordain.
Okay, so you'll keep that.
Yeah.
Because you've got one land to Preordain and then draw into some mana to then cast Painful Truths, get up, refill your hand. Bit of interaction. Did you have Mental Misstep?
Mental Misstep.
Yeah, that's nice. Little bit of early protection. So Sock must have mulled his Oath of Druid's hand. He mustn't have had enough mana in it.
Yeah, that's right. So we're both on 6 here. We both scried to the top, so this is going to be a good game.
Ooh, similar...
yeah.
We start to you, potentially.
Starts, yeah. So now, what do you do? Do you Mental Misstep this? How important is it to Mental Misstep to protect your
I think you need to protect
when you're
yours.
on one land. Yeah.
You need to protect yours.
But we're both on a mulligan.
But you have to just... You're probably looking at your hand thinking it's the same, but it might not be.
Yeah, exactly. And as you can see, yes, I did that. I did just let it resolve because it's so much more important to protect your own Preordain.
You could have 3 lands, you don't know. Yeah, unless you had a Wasteland or something, then you might want to misstep it because you're on a mana denial plan.
Yeah, if I was on Wasteland, imagine that. Imagine the top deck scried was Wasteland. That's what I scried to the top. Library of Alexandria, but you're on a mull to 6.
On the draw.
You're on the draw, so you can't activate it until the following turn.
So
What do?
Yeah,
do you scry that to the bottom, or do you keep it?
You keep it. You take 1 turn off because he's mulled, so he's not going to have.
It's not necessarily going to go
the
off.
Most explosive turn. Yeah.
Okay, so I did make the correct scry because I deliberated. I wasn't sure whether to scry it to the top or bottom.
Well, what would you try and? But you also needed mana.
Yeah.
So that's a mana source. So it's valuable.
Yep. Now, do you Mental Misstep this? Takes you off library for an additional turn, but it switches on your Flusterstorm. Switches on your what else do I have in there? It's just Flusterstorm.
You just let it resolve.
Yeah.
Sit back, draw double the number of cards he's drawing, and let the Remora fall away.
True, but what if he goes off next turn?
Yeah, but the onus is on him to do that. It's unlikely he's going to be able to.
Yeah. Well, I Mental Misstepped it. I said I'm going to take an extra turn off because you're on the play, you have the Mystic Remora, you're going to be able to keep the Mystic Remora around for maybe 4 or 5 turns because you're going to be able to hit your land drops as well and your Moxen. And if it sticks around, I'm going to have a really, really bad time. So I've opted to take a turn off. So it's essentially discarded a card. It was actually like a force of will there. I had to pitch a card in order to do that because it's a pseudo card off library. So yeah, it wasn't an easy decision, but that was my logic at the time.
Yeah, well,
maybe it's different.
Well, you're putting him on a strong hand, or you didn't want to give him 3 turns to draw into a strong hand. I suppose.
I guess you could say I'm playing very conservatively. So here comes Time Vault, and the Time Vault with no voltaic key is not scary. However, when you just use your mental misstep,
voltaic key is a bit scarier then.
It's very scary, isn't it? So. I'm on 5 cards here. So
were you cognizant of this combo as something to combat?
I wasn't thinking about it. Yeah, I was like, oh man, he's got this. So here, as you can see, now that the vault is out, I play land. I'm not in library. I'm just out of library.
You just forget it. Yeah.
Forget library. I'm on Stony Silence.
Well, that was another reason to scry the library to the top, because it would guarantee you the mana to cast that, which is a very strong card against outcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
And here it's doubly strong because it's stopping the alternative win condition of Time Vault key.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's when you want Tinker.
So here we got Painful Truths, Flusterstorm, Snapcaster Mage, Preordain. Now, this is a scary point because obviously, even though he can't use his Mox, and I'm not going to die to the Time Vault combo, his Preordain here is going to be able to just filter away all the bad cards, all the artifacts basically. He's going to be able to find him land drops, and I'm also running, 4 Moxen and Black Lotus, so the chances of me drawing one of them and then going, oh, I lament this.
I mean, he's running more, but he's just scryed, so he's in a better position.
Right. Forbidden Orchard is out.
All right.
And here I'm just looking for a threat. So I've got Snapcaster Mage in hand, and that's it. So I don't have like a Containment Priest or something, but I figure that the Stony Silence will buy me time. I'll leave the Stony Silence out, and I'm just going to go, get to 7 cards and I'm going to start to draw cards.
Okay. I thought you were going to say you're going to start to beat down with just the 2/1 because you think you might get tokens from the land as well.
I wouldn't do it if... I would do it if I didn't have library.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely. I'm a very big fan of end of turn 2/1 start attacking.
Kind of Coral Snake.
Yeah, I like it. I like that Ambush Viper.
Yeah.
And here we go. Got a token.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yep. Forbidden Orchard and the Oath.
So you can't Pyroblast it, can't Flusterstorm it?
Can't. The only thing I have is Fragmentize.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yep. So there's also, Fragmentize is the only option.
Did you have it in your hand?
No,
just in your deck.
It's in the deck. It's in the deck. I believe I'm up to 3 frags. So, with 3 Fragmentizers, the odds of me finding it are high. I'm also on 3 Containment Priest.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I'm on 6 outs here.
And you're seeing more than just your normal card.
So here is where I'm on 7 cards, and you're going to see me try to go off. Because I'm going to go up to 8 cards, and the odds of me hitting 6 cards in 40... what would it be? Maybe 48... 47 cards? 45 cards. So the odds are 6 in 45 to try and find something. Obviously, all of these will change mathematically as we go through.
But you've just reduced your chances now by using another mana.
Yes.
Now you've got to get a Mox or a Lotus or something.
Right. And I believe I have a Mox and a land drop in hand, so I'm not worried yet. But I've scryed 2 to the bottom, so obviously I'm seeing clean cards every time we go here. And all you got to do is try. So
your body language suggests you haven't found it.
No, I do not look victorious. I am quite desperate here. So now I don't have another Preordain. I don't have anything. So now I'm just gonna say go.
Yeah, Sock had some good top decks there, or he played very well.
Yeah. No, Sock played very well here because he knew the risk of getting Stony Silenced because we chatted about it, and I'm just like, look, Stony Silence is cool. He knew the risk of getting null rodded, and he went, look, I'm just going to make sure that I've got this alternate plan, and he went straight in on it, and it's fantastic.
How long did he have the Oath in hand? Was he crafting towards that?
I think he didn't have it in his opener, but he had Orchard in his opener, and he had 2 Preordains, so he kept looking for the right card. Note here, he's got Grizzlebrand out, that's come off the Forbidden Orchard, and he's drawing 7 cards. It's gone down to 11 life, and I obviously do not have Containment Priest in hand.
No,
as much as I was bluffing it. So I just played the 2 land. He knows I like Containment Priest, and I just said go. And he's like, I'll trigger Orchard.
You're not going to fail to trigger it.
Yeah.
You might not cast Tinker, but Yeah.
But yeah, he could, he could always opt not to activate it so that his Grizzlebrand does not get exiled.
Yeah.
So
can you opt not to activate it? Or- okay. So
yeah, there's two triggers. Believe there's like a trigger. There's a trigger when it checks to see the creatures at the beginning, and then you resolve it, and then you something or other happens where you get to choose a second time. I can't remember exactly how it works.
Mox Opal.
So Mox Opal's out, and I've said Storm counters 2.
Even though he has no storm
Yeah,
cards.
he has no storm card. I was just like, I just assume we got tendrils, but here, storm counters 2.
You're just distracting him.
I love doing that.
So Sock, is he on the beatdown plan or the combo out plan or both simultaneously?
Look, if I was in Sock's position, I would be like, pass turn, go for it, try and answer my thing.
Yeah.
And then, if I do something, he can respond by drawing cards, because he's going to get to trigger Oath again the next turn.
Get an Emrakul or even a Snapcaster.
Yeah. And the thing is, we have to be cognizant of time here. So he can win a game really quickly here by, trigger it, put Grizzlebrand in, pass turn.
But you have to be especially conscious of time because, as we said, in game 3, it might take you longer to win.
Yes.
Have you given up at this point?
No, I have not, because I can still find Swords to Plowshares and then fragmentize the Oath.
Okay, but he's still drawn a lot of cards. But but you're drawing cards as well, so you feel you're at parity there.
Yeah, so
roughly.
And both of these are 1 mana cards, so the number of ways he can answer it are huge. So I test the waters with some Ancestor Recall. He probably counters it, and then I have to really be really lucky. If he doesn't Mental Misstep this,
why counter the ACOL? Oh, because it helps you dig for answers.
Dig for the answers. I could dig to exactly frag and Swords to Plowshares, but there's one cool thing that he can do, which is not counter it and still have Mental Misstep. And so then I think he doesn't have Mental Misstep.
Yeah.
I put him on it, not having it. I cast the Swords to Plowshares and he Mental Missteps it.
Yeah.
He's always got the ability to, when the Swords to Plowshares is on the stack,
but
draw 7 cards, which he's doing now.
But you might have Swords before he drew the 7 cards if you already had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just imagine that he activates Grizzlebrand to draw 7 cards, and then I respond with that ability on the stack to Swords to Plowshares it. And then he Mind Break Traps me. So here's a Mental Misstep.
It's paying the mana.
And here is the Mental Misstep back.
Sock's on... is he on 4?
Sock is on 4 life, yep.
That's relevant. Although he's got the life
relevant.
linker, but it's still relevant.
And it's all about, if I Swords to Plowshares his Grizzlebrand, he can't activate it in response.
Yeah.
So this is a very pivotal counter battle. So he's got Force of Will targeting the Ancestral Recall, and he goes down to 3 life, and he jokes about, are you going to crack for Bolt?
But you don't run Bolt.
I don't run Bolt. Yep. So here we go, Flusterstorm everything of yours. And we went through it and we're like, look, I can put some copies on this, I can put some copies on that, but this is not Modo, so we don't really care. So my ACOR's resolving. Yeah, that's essentially what we...
you get the ACOR.
Yeah. We're like...
Do you think Sock should have fought that counter battle?
I believe no, but that's mainly because I'm a cheeky little character and I would love to pretend not to have Mental Misstep, not to have Force of Will, let the ACOR resolve, and then they finally find the Swords to Plowshares, then you fight over the actual Swords to Plowshares or the actual Fragmentize.
I mean, you obviously really wanted the ACOR.
But I really wanted it. Secretly, I did really want it because I didn't have anything. I got nothing here. I'm just looking. I'm digging for that Swords to Plowshares or the Fragmentize.
So as soon as you kind of engaged in the counter battle, he probably felt renewed confidence in trying to
that's right.
Stifle that ACOR.
And so Flusterstorm, it resolved to get rid of the other Force of Will, and now he's doing another Force of Will on the ACOR, and this is pretty much the nail in the coffin, right? Because he doesn't know it, but in my hand, I don't have Swords to Plowshares and I don't have Fragmentize. I was really all in on that ACOR.
Yeah, and you're out of mana.
And I've already played my land drop for the turn, and my only accessible mana is a Pearl. So even if I do have a Preordain in hand, I'm unable to use it to actually affect a...
Best case, you could frag the Oath, but he'd still get 7 more cards.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I can. If I can frag the Oath, then I can get there. Right, here's a gush, so I still keep going.
That's good. That might. But you've already played a land.
I believe I've already played a land. So
I'm not sure.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Oh, maybe I have. No, I have. Yeah, because the game had gone for quite a while that we had. Yeah, I know I haven't. So
you had played it, or you wanted to play another?
Oh yeah, 3 land.
No.
So yeah, he's on 3 land, and I would be on 4 land.
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
And I think we each missed a land drop at some point because the game was.
I think that was right. I don't think you'd played a land.
And so that was Treasure Cruise. That was Gush into Treasure Cruise, and that's 5 cards deep. Card for turn, 6 cards, and library was 7 cards. So I basically went, oh look, I got 7 cards, but if the A-Core resolved, it would have been 10 cards. So 10 cards out of 45 to find frag, and then Swords to Plowshares, or both of them.
Yeah, but Containment Priest isn't good enough, but you needed those specific ones.
Yeah, exactly.
How many swords did you have here, given it was an outcome?
I think I had just 1 in the deck, and it was just for the like, oh look, you might have bot in there, and I might not be able to Containment Priest in time. You get a Tinker on turn 1. So I had like a single in there.
Did you take out balance? You should take out balance against those.
I don't actually. Yeah, I used to have balance in the deck.
Oh, you don't run it?
Yeah, actually, after playing it with you and other people in the team as well, I'd noticed that balance was very bad.
Okay.
In my deck, I just wanted a 4th Swords to Plowshares in the sideboard. Just so good. So here comes Emrakul, and the Grizzlebrand comes in, crashes into the red zone. And one interesting thing here is Time Walk seals
that's
the game.
good. Yeah, that's good.
And so I say, yep, you can go to your turn. Now, obviously, the best thing to do here is just untap your lands real quick and then say I attack you for lethal. Note that I'm not conceding here because we have 1 minute on the clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm undefeated, and Socrates has a draw.
So you didn't want to start game 3?
Yep. So if I was in Socrates' position, it's just like, go to my turn, attack you. And I go, yep, you got it. And say, I'm poised to scoop, I'm ready, yeah. Here we go. Yep. The moment that the final game action occurs, then I will shuffle up my deck. But the moment that the attack occurred, time was called. And you can't commence a new game. Because that's always tricky, because I was not going to win a game 3 against a combo deck, so like, you have to kill me. Yeah, well, I said it a couple of times.
That's a fair ask. Yeah, I mean, it's only fair to ask your opponent to finish you off. You don't have to concede prior to that.
So in the
end, that was a draw, 1-1.
Yeah, that was a 1-1 draw, and it's solely based on the results because I was the only undefeated. Yeah.
Okay. So Sock didn't quite get his first.
Didn't quite get there. So close. Yeah, and so I was. At the end of the day, whatever the result was, I was going to be happy because Sock will get his win and get in there, or I get a win. Either way, everyone wins for the team.
Sock should have conceded earlier in game 1.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that might have given him a better chance to
true.
cover
and
game
he could
3.
just smash me, just like the way he did that. He just destroyed me game 2. He could destroy me again game 3 because he's got that ability. So that's the end of that one, and that's been the Vintage Challenge for Adelaide Eternal. Hope you enjoy the content, and we're going to be back again with the Legacy Challenge next month.
All right, see you guys.